All right, so welcome to another con support video. This one's on intercepts from a graph. Let's go. All right, so basically, just to go over the concept, x-intercept is basically a situation where you're looking for where the line crosses the x-axis, and a y-intercept is where the line crosses the y-axis. So you're really just asking yourself, at what value does the line intersect the x and y-axis? That's really what intercepts are. And the way you mathematically would find the intercepts is to find the x-intercept, you're going to plug in a 0 for the y. And to find the y-intercept, you're going to plug in a 0 for x, right? Because any value that has a 0 for y is basically on the x-axis, right? And any value that has a 0 for x is actually on the y-axis, right? So that's really what you're doing. When you want to find the x-intercept, you're plugging in or thinking about what is the value of x when y is 0. When you want to find the y-intercept, you're looking at, well, what is the value of y when x is 0? Okay, so looking at this particular one that we're looking at, we can kind of analyze it. Now, in this case, it looks like it's a pretty clear marker there that it's directly crossing at that point there. So it's crossing the y-axis at 100. So that means that the y-intercept is positive 100. And it's crossing the x-axis at negative 250. So that is a x-axis of negative 250. So that's our x-intercept, negative 250, comma 0, and our y-intercept of 0, comma 100. Okay. On the next one here, same exact concept. So now I'm going to speed up. You guys probably get the idea, I think, at this point. So we're going to look for the y-intercept. Where's it crossing the y-axis? Here's the y-axis. The blue line is crossing right there at 0.4 on the y. So that means that 0.4 is the y value, which means the x is the 0 value, right? Because when x is 0, y is 0.4. For the x-intercept, you're looking at the value right between 0.2 and 0.4. It looks like it's directly in the middle between those two. So if you're counting each of these particular individual lines, the increments are going to be 0.1, 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4. So this is going to be 0.3. So that means your x-intercept is 0.3, not 0.0, 0.3, and your y-intercept is going to be, x-intercept y value is going to be 0. So the x-intercept is going to be 0.3, comma 0, and the y-intercept is going to be 0, comma 0.4. Because the x-intercept is a y value of nothing, that means it's on the x-axis, and an x value of 0.3. Okay. Okay, for the next one here, we're going to do the same idea. So this time we're going to look at it. We say, all right, where is it crossing the y-axis? Looks like it's crossing the y-axis at negative 6, which means that when x is 0, y is negative 6. And then this one looks like it's crossing the x-axis at negative 8. So when x is negative 8, y should be 0. And then for the next one here, just real simply, the y-axis, it looks like it's halfway between 5 and 6. So you think about what you're counting by here. You're counting by half, 1/2, 1, 1.5, 2, and so on and so forth. So halfway between 5 and 6 is going to be 0.5, so 5.5. So that means your y-intercept is going to be the value of 5.5 with an x value of 0. And their x-intercept is where does it cross the x-axis? It's halfway between negative 7 and negative 8, so that's going to be negative 7.5. Counting by negative 0.5 here, so negative 0.5, negative 1, negative 1.5, negative 2, and so on and so forth. So that means this is going to be negative 7.5, halfway between negative 7 and negative 8. So this is going to be negative 7.5 for the x-intercept when y is 0. And that's how you do the skill. Pretty easy, right, guys? So remember, x-intercept where it crosses the x-axis, y-intercept where it crosses the y-axis. And that's it. That's all you got to do.